This is Badshah
and Roman
and this is our video comparing the HTC One M8
and Sony Z2. Let's start with the hardware features the Z2 has. The CUV is quad-core, 2.3 GHz Crate 400, which is exactly the same as HTC One M8. So theoretically, two phones are identically the same.
Okay, so both phones have the same speed. However, let's look at some of the screen resolution. The HTC has 1080 by 920 pixels and has a 5-inch display along with 441 pixel density. And the Z2 has the same 1080 by 920 pixels, however it has a larger 5.2-inch display but a less 424 pixel density. So the HTC has a smaller screen but a more crisp display than the Z2, but in theory, you're not really going to notice the difference with your bare eyes. So let's just say they're exactly the same, but in theory, on paper, the HTC has a better screen resolution than the Z2. Now let's look at storage. The HTC has 16 GB internal storage, however you can buy a more expensive model which is 32 GB. However, the Experia Z2 only has one model which has 16 GB, so internal storage wise the HTC is much better than the Experia. However, you can extend both these phones with a memory card which can go up to 128 GB. However, on internal storage, as I said before, the HTC has an advantage over the Z2.
So what about the cameras? The Sony Z2 has 2.2 megapixel front-facing camera, but HTC One has 5 megapixel front-facing camera, so this is the best phone for taking selfies.
But the main camera, the Experia Z2 has a 20.7 megapixel front camera compared to the HTC's 4 ultra pixel dual front camera. But really the ultra pixel is mostly the same as megapixel and the dual camera doesn't really make much of a difference. So if you're the person who likes taking pictures of scenery or of friends with the front camera, then we would recommend buying the Z2 instead. Okay, so let's look at battery life for now. The HTC has a battery life of 271 hours if the phone is idle and you have 2G instead of 3G and can give you 14 hours talk time. However, if you have 3G, then you can get up to 496 hours of battery life if your phone is idle and 19 hours talk time. However, let's look at the Z2. If you have 2G, then you can get 690 hours idle, which is much more than the HTC's. You can get 15 hours talk time with that. However, if you have 3G Z2, then you can get 740 hours of if your phone is idle and 18 hours talk time. Now you can get 1 hour more talk time if you have a HTC 3G, but on idle the Xperia lasts much longer, and 1 hour talk time isn't really going to make much of a difference in my opinion. So let's just agree that the Xperia Z2 has a better battery life than the HTC One M8.
So both phones have their ups and downs, but let's look at the Sony Z2 features. It can record in 4K and it's fully water and dust proof, so you can just take easily photos under the water. And also it has a dedicated camera which actually makes your camera experience easier.
Now let's look at some of the HTC One M8 special features. This isn't really specific to the phone, but on HTC itself. It has a transfer tool which can easily transfer all your memory, your phone's photos, music, and contacts to your new phone. So it's gonna take 10 minutes at most, and it's all wireless, which makes it hassle-free. And there's also another good feature, which is the boom sound in the HTC, which makes, if you like playing sound out loud or even on headphones, the phone will change the frequency of the sound, which will actually make it sound more dynamic and better than normally other phones.
So both phones have the same operating system, Android 4.4 KitKat, and this is another similarity in both phones.
Okay, design-wise, in my opinion, the HTC has a much better design than the Z2 because the Z2 is essentially just a cuboid. However, if you look at the One M8, then it's a sleek phone with metal casing, and in my opinion, this looks much better than just the old regular smartphone design. So our final verdict is that both phones are extremely good.
Yeah, but when it comes to choosing, it's only your choice which you will choose.
So if you're the person who likes using the front camera quite a lot and doesn't really bother with selfies, then we recommend getting the Z2. However, if you're the person who loves taking selfies, then we would recommend the One M8 instead. Thank you for watching, and this was a review of the HTC One M8
And Sony Z2.
Okay, thanks.
Yay!
But what about the cameras? The HTC One has 2.2 megapixel front-facing camera.
Yeah.
But for the main camera,
Okay, restart.
I just lost.
So both phones have identical Android KitKat 4.4. So this is another So both phones have their ups and downs. But let's look at the special features of HTC Z2. So it can record.
Wait. You said okay. This is how do I stop this?